I can't even think of many players in the history of the game that have this athleticism packed in this frame. So we got to take him high, and we're going to teach him how to tackle. And if not, I can live the game fired over that.
Hello and welcome back to Football 301. I'm your host, Nate Tice. Another great show for you today. As we're in the middle of draft season, we're going to look at another position group today. Deep breakdown on top guys, day 2 guys, maybe sprinkle in some day 3 guys for those that are interested in that. You sickos. That's why you're listening to us, right? But anyways, to join me today, as always, and I think this is your specialty, by the way, Mr. Forverts, even if you have a passing concept as your nickname, you are a former nose tackle, defensive tackle, and this is kind of your thing. But Charles McDonald, great to see you. How's it going today?
I'm doing good. I had a funny experience this morning where I was about to go to the gym this morning, and I went to open my door, and the other side of the doorknob fell out. So I couldn't turn it, even though it was unlocked. So I was stuck. I was trapped inside my apartment. So yeah, I texted my landlord and the superintendent or supervisor was like, "Hey, I'm stuck. I'm trapped inside. Can someone come fix this?" And 2 hours later, my supervisor texted me 2 hours after I asked him, "I'm stuck inside. Can you come get me?" He said, "Oh, I'm at the laundromat today. Maybe tomorrow." I was like, "What? What did you just say? Maybe tomorrow?" It's like I told you, I'm stuck inside.
911?
Right? Like, what if I had to do something? Or like he's lucky that like this was in the afternoon, or it wasn't an urgent situation because like. You're gonna come tomorrow? Are you crazy, man? But outside of that, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right.
You know, if you didn't have to do this show, it might have been a good day to be stuck in your house or apartment the whole day with March Madness starting.
Honestly might not have known the doorknob was broken if I had to stay home today because I wouldn't have gone anywhere. I've been watching TV all day.
Cozy maxing, just chilling. Yep. No, yeah. If anyone's noticed too, I made a move this week. So this is my this is how I kind of jerry rigged my office right now. I feel like I'm in a hotel room right now, but getting used to that. I found 2 helmets in one of the boxes. If I could turn this camera around, I can turn it around, but I'm not going to. It's just nothing but boxes in front of me. I'm just surrounded by boxes because packing dozens of board games, Charles, and takes up a lot of room. Takes up a lot of space. I would say I'm embarrassed of my hobby. I was a little embarrassed about my hobby on this move.
Packing's awful. There's nothing.
It's the worst.
There's nothing good about moving it until you're done and you're set up. But like the process of it, like, dude, I haven't moved in 6 years, and I'm gonna try to keep it that way until I'm ready to leave New York City because I hate moving. Like it just can't be done.
I do too. Vegas is the longest I've lived in one city since I lived in Minnesota, which, was 9 years. But I moved every 1 or 2 years for over a decade from college because I started at UCF. Then I went to Jacksonville over JUCO for 6 months. Then I went to Wisconsin. Then I went to Pittsburgh. Then I went to, where did I go after Pittsburgh? Atlanta, Bay Area, and then ended up in Vegas. There was a sprinkle of Jacksonville and other places in there. So yeah, I've kind of my mom, who's been a great help, shout out to Pixie, has been kind of like, she was like 5 years ago when I moved to our last house, she was like, "I'm never helping you guys move again. I'm retired from that," because she had to do so many moves. And then here she is, help me out, the MVP right now. So shout out to my mom for helping us do that. But today we're going to talk about some prospects, defensive line and edge prospects, defensive tackles, defensive ends, nose tackles, edges, outside linebackers. That's what getting included there. We're not going to separate those guys, but this is for the 2026 NFL draft. We're going to talk about some of the top players from our big boards, break down guys that we like, maybe guys we're a little lower on, explain our rankings, and just touch on some other guys that maybe we've watched over this process. On Tuesday, Connor Rogers joined me in a very fun show. We went over running backs and tight ends. That one got deep as well. And this defensive line and edge class, it's pretty deep. Maybe not as, there's a couple top names, but there's a lot of depth, I think, once you get past maybe pick 20 to almost pick 70. There's just a lot of group guys that I would consider second, third round types. So let's jump into it. We're going to start with the edges. All right. On your last big board, these were the edges that you had in your top 50. You had Arvell Reese at 2, Rueben Bain at 3, David Bailey at 6, TJ Parker from Clemson at 22. I'll try to say their schools a little bit better. Sorry, guys. I know last time I got rolling with Connor, so I'll do a little better this time. 26, R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. 33, Zion Young from Mizzou. 40, Dennis-Sutton from Penn State. 43, Cassius Howell from why am I blanking on his school? Cassius Howell, Texas A&M. And then Akheem Mesidor at 46 from Miami. Of these guys, actually, I'll share mine. I would say one little quirk that you have is Keldrick Falk, who I consider more of an edge. He's kind of everywhere. You had him more of as defensive lineman, defensive tackle type. So we'll talk about that in that section. My edge rankings, Arvell Reese at 2, Rueben Bain at 4, David Bailey at 5. David Bailey's Texas Tech, Rueben Bain's Miami. Sorry, Arvell Reese is Ohio State. Keldrick Falk, like I said, from Auburn at 12. I'm definitely one of the higher guys on him. TJ Parker, 28 from Clemson. Zion Young, 29 from Mizzou. And then Akheem Mesidor from Miami at 34. So let's just start at the top. Mr. Reese from Ohio State, who played off ball, played edge. I think we both consider him maybe an edge first. I almost consider him like an old school 3-4 Sam. That's how I'm kind of grading him, which I think is a good thing. But when you watched Reese, when he broke him down, I mean, you had him at player 2, I had him at player 2. What'd you like about him? How do you think he can hold up at the edge and project there?
Yeah, I think he can hold up at edge. I'm kind of looking at him like, what do you want to do, bro? Do you want to play linebacker or do you want to play edge?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, where do you see yourself? You're interviewing us, kind of like where do you see yourself fitting in our defense? He's just otherworldly talent, like
force of nature,
and it's one of those things where like if you watch that Ohio State Texas game live week 1. You're like, oh, okay. Like this guy is different than everybody else when it's Texas versus Ohio State. And yeah, he could play edge. I think he can play off ball, maybe a little bit better at edge right now. But even then, like the speed and the range, like it still shows up like when he's asked to do just like traditional linebacker things. It's not like this. Like I could say he projects better at edge, but like he's still absolutely like even just a pure like high end, just regular linebacker prospect as well. So it's kind of like hard to be responsible when you see guys like this because I mean, shoot, like the first comp that comes to mind when you're talking about something like that is Micah Parsons, but like you don't want to compare anybody to Micah Parsons, you know. So I guess like in that realm though, where you can say, hey, we need you to play off ball here. You need to play off the edge. And he could probably do both at a pretty high level. And like for those who've like forgotten back to Micah's rookie year, like he played a fair amount of off ball and had some insane plays in coverage that season. And then they put him back on the line and all hell broke loose. So just ask Arvell, what do you want to play, bro? I think he can play edge. I think he can play linebacker. It's just really incredible football player where it's kind of even hard to talk about him as a prospect.
It was hard for me. Like this is, I fell into my kind of positional ties, I guess. It's like Arvell Reese is 2, but like really he's kind of player 1 for me. If Mendoza just gets the quarterback bump, that's really all it is because Reese this is a star. This guy moves different. He wants to play hard. That's another thing with Micah Parsons, that like every play is the last play of the Super Bowl for him. Reese has that kind of, maybe not that quite psychotic, but just maybe a half step below, but same kind of tier up there. I mean, I think what's so encouraging if you project him as an edge, which I've kind of warmed to as just calling him an edge as opposed to, originally I just called him like a defensive front 7 guy. And that's what that defense that Patricia runs, Matt Patricia ran at Ohio State. It still has some of that Belichick to him where these off-ball guys will line up on the edge depending on the look. And I think it's great when you watch the film and you get to see him because I see him turn and run in coverage, and he's been a pole runner in cover 2, which is the middle coverage guy. He can turn and run. I mean, he's just an athletic freak. And then also when he's at the edge, he also knows how to use his hands and kind of set the edge in the run game, which I think is what's so encouraging if you want to project him more full time there. But like you said, I want to see him with a more creative defensive play caller, maybe not a standard 4-3 looking defense or something like that, but any of these defenses that move their ILB around, I know Fangio will use these guys and this is kind of what I have in my head, like how Zach Bond gets used, where he's inside linebacker, but then at times he's on the edge, over on the open side. And I think that's actually like how you can maybe introduce Reese until you figure out exactly where you want to major with him. But he's long, he's explosive, he plays hard, he can run in coverage, he can set the edge in the run game, and then he's a developing pass rusher, but the flashes as a pass rusher is like dominance. So even if he ends up like an 8 sack guy, I think he can easily just get pressures and just do so much every down. That's like, it's snaps impacted, and he's just an athletic freak as well. If he stayed as an off-ball guy, which would be extremely, I mean, him and Sonny Styles, his teammate, get used very similar. And I think that both are going to go high, is he moves a lot like Jalen Smith before Jalen Smith's knee exploded at Notre Dame. Like, they are built similar, they move similar. And I mean that in the sense that it's like, if he does stay off ball, I think he could be an impact player there as well. So like you said, it's like, where do you see yourself in a couple of years? Because we'll just use you that way, and then we'll try and figure out the rest. But he's awesome. I tried to nitpick him. I know he's not all perfect as a player because he's still figuring out stuff on the edge. But the fact that he's still figuring it out and that you can do that is pretty incredible and pretty dynamic. Wish he was maybe a tad longer, but I don't know. That's really my biggest nitpicks with him, because I just love his athleticism and play style.
It's really good. Yeah, he's going to be like a no-brainer top 3 pick. Yeah, no-brainer.
Yep. I know. Not many people are fighting it. I know that one. I feel like is just preaching to the choir. Let's get to our next guy. I have him at 4. You have him at 3. Same ballpark. Rueben Bain. And maybe we can both talk about maybe why we have him just a touch ahead of David Bailey from Texas Tech. But Rueben Bain, what won you over with him? The big discussion on Bain is his arm length and how he can hold up there. But again, talking about a guy playing hard, setting the edge in the run game and impacting plays. Yeah, that's Rueben Bain. Probably one of the best defensive players in college football last year. But yeah, Rueben Bain, maybe why you had him a touch over Bailey.
Okay, like I feel like there's something so strange about like this Rueben Bain arm length discussion to me, because like it's fair to be like, I guess, concerned about that if you haven't watched him play, is how I would put that. Because I keep seeing this stuff. Oh, he's got short arms. How's it going to translate? Well, like, he has to deal with that in college too. It's not like ACC, Big Ten offensive linemen that he's facing that are going to be in the NFL too are small guys. So you already have, like, if you actually like interact with that critique, you can find that he's already figured out answers to this. And we already have like a ton of examples from, like old history of the NFL, recent history of the NFL. If you're shorter and you've got the shorter arms, you can at least be like 265 plus, like 260 plus, where you're at least dense and you have like the overall strength to play against the offensive lineman. But this arm length thing, I would just love to sit down with someone and be like, where is this like such a concern with you, where you would have him dropping down to like the teens, like where I've seen on some big boards, because he already has the built-in answers for it, which is one, being like super explosive off the edge. Like if you just don't have the God-given length, the best thing you can do is just be explosive enough to get in someone's chest and use your leverage there. And then once he like makes contact, like he's got speed moves, he's got power, he's got inside stuff. He doesn't like hit the inside moves as much as Mesidor does, but still, he's got a lot of answers already built in for some of the critiques that I've seen of him, which is what makes me a little confused. Because it's like, if you hadn't seen him play and you're just looking at it, okay, here's a 6'2", 260-pound guy with short arms who's going to be a top 5 pick. Like, I kind of need to look into that. But once you do, okay, it's all there. It's already on the film. And like, if you needed any further like justification, just go watch. It's like, if this is like what you like to do, just go watch the playoff run. All 4 games, he was an absolute terror. So just it seems strange to me. Like, I keep seeing this stuff, but I haven't really seen anyone like actually interact with it outside of just saying his arms are short, he's going to fall down the draft. Because there's a lot there where he's already like figured out how to overcompensate for that.
My thing with him is that why I kind of gave him the bump in the end was, it's not theory how he plays against the run or what he can do every down. Yeah. Like, I've seen it. And like you say, I've seen him go against maybe longer guys. And even if he's not getting a sack, he's impacting the game. Like I really am sticking with the Brandon Graham comparison with him. Because it's just like, that's how I kind of feel his career will go. Is he going to be the all pro 12 sacks every year? I don't think that, but I do think he is going to be a consistent sack generator, a consistent pressure generator, and he's going to impact the run game and also can kick inside. Like, I think that is just kind of like how Brandon Graham was able to do. Brandon Graham measuring at 6'2", 268 coming out of Michigan, 32.25-inch arms. Here we go. Rueben Bain, 6'2", 263, and then 30 7/8 arms. So like very, very similar builds. And I think Bain, again, plays hard, has some dynamic hand movement as far as how strong his hands are. Like that's where I think it just shows up, where he can really move a tackle in the sense that he can get him off balance, and then just has the hand technique and the balance and everything else to kind of do the auxiliary stuff off of it. Like I know the pass rush plan kind of always gets talked about. I'm not even saying that, but just more like he's very aware what situation he's in. Maybe that's the best way I can put it. Like there's times where he's just like, oh, that move didn't work, but I'm going to keep trying to fight, push. I'll push the pocket. So again, I think he's ideal with another guy that's a really good pass rusher. That's just everybody. But man, I was higher on him. I cooled a little bit in the middle of the season. Anyone can listen to me and Dane Brugler talk about Bain in November, and I still considered him a top 10 guy. Just cooled on him slightly, but now I've warmed back up because again, it's snaps impacted, and that's why talk about the next guy, David Bailey. Is I understand the appeal of Bailey. Like I've just called him like a flamethrower off the edge, just always attacking, always coming at guys. Sometimes a little raw, sometimes a little bit, okay, he gets himself in a bad situation, but he's always trying to fight, which I do think is very appealing. And he tries against the run. He's just, I think, physically maxed out, and I think he's always going to be average at best. Like I really have been trying to kind of like, because I see the length, I saw the testing, I've seen the production, I watched him get jet pressure after pressure, but I watched those run reps too, and it's very hard for me to go, oh, I'm taking this guy top 5, even though I have him very high on my big board. That's more about this draft class than anything. It's just that little thing that's just missing. It's not a want to thing. It's just, and that's what makes me more concerned, that the positive of his want to and competitiveness, and he still can't do it. That's where I get concerned, where it's like, he's already trying and that's as good as he can get. But I understand his physicality. I understand or his physical ability, I should say. His hand technique is pretty good. He's a little bit of a crazy fist guy. But I just love how like explosive he is, right? Crazy fist. Explosive and attacking. He's skating to the quarterback. So I really understand the appeal of Bailey. I just think a couple of those negatives for me, which aren't overwhelming negatives, but they're there, just kind of just won it over for Bain. Like even if Bailey gets more sacks than Bain can maybe be more of a contributor for more plays. That's how I project them at this point. But how'd you end up on Bailey? Even though, we both have him very, very high.
Yeah, I like him. I could definitely see a scenario though where maybe year one's a little rough. At least like maybe against the run. And it's interesting because he might be like the streakiest run defender in the class because there's some plays. I remember there was a play I was watching versus Arizona State where like he was lined up over the guard on a run play and just like got underneath his patch, jacked them up, like stalemate at the line of scrimmage, helped get in on TFL. And then you turn on the Kansas State game and you're like, is this guy playing on rollerblades? Like, does he have grease like stuck to the bottom of his cleats? Because he is getting thrown all over the place. And I haven't seen any Kansas State like offensive linemen being mocked as first round picks this year. And they sure damn did look like it this year.
Center, and that's about it though. Not no offensive tackles though.
I mean it was jarring. Like I'm pretty sure there's probably a cut up of it on YouTube. But like if you can find the broadcast version of like Texas Tech versus Kansas State and just watch like the displacement off the line of scrimmage and getting driven back like 5-6 yards sometimes. That's the stuff that scares you. But ultimately, like it's hard to find guys that you think could be 10 sack guys in the NFL even with that. So I would just roll the dice on the upside. I mean, I'm kind of inclined to do that for this position in general because you just like everything happens so fast. Like just logically speaking, you need to be a better athlete to be, the best defensive lineman. Like when we look at the guys who are at the top of the game right now, like they're all freaks, like in some way, shape, or form. Because like I remember people back when like Joey Bosa was going through his combine, like, oh man, like he ran like a 4.7. Like, okay, but his 3-cone was like 6'8", like at 270. So there's still like a very like tangible like freak athlete ability there, even if it's not like 4 or 5 40-yard dash or whatever like that. So he's got the traits to be an impact pass rusher, and you just got to hope that getting into NFL life and having access to maybe a little bit more resources will just help him put on weight, because it's a red flag, but like it's also like a nod to how good of a pass rusher he can be, that he's still mocked up here even with some of those deficiencies.
It's cool. He doesn't play with gloves on, which I appreciate. That's pretty fun. Even if you don't play with gloves, you do look like a long snapper. It's unfortunate, but you do. But I like what you're saying too, is like it's sometimes against the run stuff, or even just how he like. Okay, his calling card is going to be pressures and getting after the quarterback. It's going to be the stuff that's like, all right, if you get caught against longer athletic tackles, are you able to impact the game in other ways? Are you able to still generate that pressure, or is it just going to be an instant win? The testing shows off his athleticism, but it's straight line stuff, and I some of the kind of side to side stuff, I'm just kind of a little iffy. Like, I think my mid-tier comparison for him, and this is not a knock, is Boy Mafe, from who was just with the Seahawks, and didn't you just sign with the Bengals? Just got big money from the Bengals. But that's kind of like my mid-tier comparison for him. I think I have Bailey obviously a little bit better as a prospect and everything, but that's just kind of as a pro, kind of as a look at him. Gets pressures, maybe not the bendiest guy, but he's got some length. Maybe against the run, he's just okay. And the thing about Bailey too is that he's improved a ton from what he was doing at Stanford. At Stanford, he was like a true DPR, designated pass rusher. He snuck into my, I believe, preseason big board. I think top 30. I think he had him at like 29. And I was just like, hey, this guy can bring some heat, and that's always going to be valued, and it'll be a hot commodity. And of course, this year he blew it up. He has dozens of pressures. I want to say he has like 81 pressures or something of that sort this year that he just generated, which is just insane. But again, I think we're kind of saying the same stuff here. Some of the in between the lines stuff or kind of complete playerness that maybe we just kind of have him a little bit lower. But having said that, sounds like we're really low on him. We both like him. We both understand that.
Yeah, a lot.
You have him at 6 and I have him at 5. So again, I do not hate David Bailey. It's just, this is why I maybe have him a little bit lower than others. But still, I really, really like him, because what he provides is always going to get paid and always going to be a commodity.
Right. And also again, like, not to slight, but it's also a function of the class, like,
yes,
like these guys would be behind Will Anderson, if they were in the same draft class.
Yes,
but Will Anderson ain't here. Someone's got to get ranked. Someone's got to get drafted. So that's the truth of it.
There's been so many times I kind of caught myself before we did our big boards. Was I would be on shows and they'd be like, oh, so you don't see the receivers this time? I'm like, I doubt I'll have a receiver in the top 10. I see, and then I start stacking guys up, and I'm like, Carnell Tate's 10 and Denzel Boston's 12. Like, because it's just, there's somebody's got to be ranked up there. I can't just have a gap and just have everybody in the teens. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Like, Bailey to me in a normal class would be like 12, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I think that's just where this class is at. All right, let's get to the next guy. I'll talk about Keldrick Falk once we talk defensive lineman. So let's talk about TJ Parker. Both a guy, I'm not shocked you like him. I am not. You have him at 22. I have him at 28. And again, I am not stunned that you ended up liking him, because that's a heavy-handed dude. And that's a strong dude that can do a little bit of everything. Maybe nothing exceptional, but why do you have Parker at 22 on your big board, Chuck? From Clemson, by the way.
He's like you said, like he's like the everyman defensive end. Like every defense could use a player like this. But like I view him like kind of high floor, maybe a little lower ceiling. Which is fine, Someone's got to get picked in this range. But it's funny because when you see like Clemson number 3, and they've had some speedy guys off the edge, like Vic Beasley, and then the guy guy, I forget his name. He got drafted by the Cardinals maybe last year. He got COVID real bad and it kind of threw off his track. But he was at Clemson recently. I forget his name, but he was a pass rusher there. This guy is different than some of the other guys that we've seen. He's heavier. He plays the run a lot better than some of the edges that they've had, over Dabo's run there at Clemson. And it just seems like, for me, like, this is like, okay, I don't know if you'll be like a great impact player off the edge, but I have a very hard time seeing a world where he's outright bad.
Right.
Just because because we've talked about it on the show, people fall for the cheese all the time with the highlights and the flash plays. But the most important thing on a down-to-down basis, are you going to get moved off that line of scrimmage? And he holds up well there for the most part. And then he came back at the combine and, had a solid testing day that I think pretty accurately backed the film. Not the fastest guy, but, if you're going to have, that level of strength in the line of scrimmage, you're probably going to be a little explosive. And it's just a pretty seamless fit. I don't know if I would want him like standing up off the edge, but if I'm sitting at 20 or something, and I'm like, man, we can use another defensive end, and we're kind of like a 4-man team. We've got our guys' hands in the dirt. This makes sense, and it's not the sexiest pick. It's not the sexiest player, but shoot, it's good. He's good, and that's what we're looking for at the end of the day.
Yeah, he was a guy preseason. I think like 9 or 10. So others had him like maybe as the top prospect going into this year. And I think just Clemson just totally just becoming a zombie team this year is really, I think it hindered Peter Woods, who we'll talk about, but also guys, it made Parker more appealing because he was like, yeah, I know we stink this year, but guess what? I'm setting that edge. I'm eating this double team with the tight end and tackle, and I'm fighting. And I love how you put it. Every defense would like a guy like this. Do you want to take him in the first round? It might not be the sexiest thing in the world. I'd prefer it. He very much feels like a guy you take at like 41, but that's what this class is, that's just what it is. I grew to like him even more as the late season stuff because everything you said, like he can set the edge in the run game. And that's the thing, setting edge in the run game. Like I think about with tight ends and tackles and everything, but defensive ends just not getting pushed off or winning every one-on-one with the tight end in the run game. That is such a plus to have where you don't have to worry about it, that that then safeties can come up, feed off of that. Like it's one of those kind of booster roles if you are able to do it. I think, he's not a guy that will rack up TFLs because he doesn't go rogue. And like he's just a good teammate. Like he's just a good player. Like, and I mean this in the best way possible. He's a good role player. And I mean that as a super compliment. Like he knows his role. He's going to do his role really well. He's going to get his 6 sacks. Get a couple TFLs in the year, but every down he's going to be a plus player, a positive player. He's a winning football player. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Yeah, as Clemson just lost all those games.
Like ultimately, like I feel like guys like TJ Parker, and I'll say like his skill level like applied to every position, on the defense, like same caliber position. Those are ultimately the guys that are going to make up the core of your defense. You're not going to have a whole bunch of 99 overall players running around here. Like you need some 80s, man. You need some 80s to just sit there and do what they're supposed to do. I don't need you getting upfield a million times and getting a bunch of TFLs. Can you sit there, set the edge, and just run the play as it's drawn up? That it's got a lot of value, and I'm excited to see like where he ends up, and I guess like specifically what style of defense he ends up in. And I just remember the Clemson defensive man I was talking about before, Xavier Thomas. I think he's with Houston now. Yeah, but he was a guy. Yeah, he was a guy like back in like 2019. Like, oh, we got another one, and then he got COVID so bad that Dabo Swinney was like, I don't know about this. This is a little scarier than I thought it was, and it kind of derailed him. But he still got to the NFL.
So Parker finished his NFL career or his college career, the third-year guy, 41.5 TFLs, 21.5 sacks. He was productive, even if it wasn't overwhelming, and that's why he was. Yeah, and again, he's just gonna do good things. He had 6 forced fumbles last year as a sophomore, I should say, in 24. Just a guy that just fills up the box score and just does a little bit of everything. And even again, he's not the twitchiest guy. He ran a 4.68, which is pretty good. He passed the broad jump test for me. He jumped 10 feet flat. 9 feet 9 is what I look for in an edge rusher. So he passes that threshold. Of course, doesn't do the cones because nobody does the cones anymore. But he's 263. He's got 33 1/8 inch arms, which is plenty fine. Plenty of length there. Yeah, I don't know. He has the physics or the physicality and the physical profile to do what the role that he's going to do at the NFL. It's not like he's like an undersized edge setter. Like he is that size. Like maybe we can add 5 more pounds and be 268 and be good. So I know I liked him. I think we've slotted him very fairly. Like you said, you have 22, 28, very comfortable in this draft. Once you get into 20s, taking him, there should be some interesting teams. I think he could be just a nice dirty work guy. And I mean that as a compliment for a guy that has had some production too. All right, let's get to the next guy. Okay, I'll go to the next guy that we both have, which is going to be Zion Young. I had him at 29, just after Parker. You had him at 33. There's another guy in between. We'll talk about R. Mason Thomas, who didn't make my top 50. But Zion Young, kind of a similar discussion to TJ Parker. Heavy-handed, sets the edge, rugged. He's like the rugged guy of this draft, Zion Young to me. I really liked his film. Guy that's a hard competitor, really just brings it every snap, runs stuff down from the backside, tries to run screens down just every snap. He's bringing it 100%, kind of a tone setter. But role-wise, kind of copy and paste just everything we said about TJ Parker. As far as big hands, heavy-handed, some length, can set the edge, has a little pass rush juice, but that's not his calling card. He's just fine at it. But yeah, I can copy and paste a lot, but I really like Zion Young, and that's why I had him right next to Parker. You had him a little bit lower, but 33, not too much further behind. But what'd you think about Zion Young?
There's a few players every year that I kind of bucket into a specific category of, like, you would have played for like the 2009 Baltimore Ravens, like Pernell McPhee, Jared Johnson, like Courtney Upshaw, those guys who are like big edge players, and they're not there to get 10 sacks. They're there to absolutely beat your ass in the run game and do power stuff and collapse the pocket. But like we were just talking about TJ Parker, those are the guys that you need ultimately at the end of the day.
Yes.
Like guys who are going to stay sturdy, and just not get moves off their spot. And like I don't think he's going to be a great pass rusher or anything, but I could easily see how he ends up becoming like the linchpin in someone's defense, or one of the most important players in their defense. Just like in terms of the how he plays the run, and it's just like I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like the consistency, I guess, just to stay on someone's head like that over the course of the game. It's just beat them down all 4 quarters.
No easy buckets.
No easy buckets. Yeah, no easy buckets, right? Like there's like, if you're like these college offensive tackles, they might have not gotten embarrassed every game, but they had a bad day just about every time. Like you're getting to the ice, like you're getting to the locker room. God damn, number 9, he was strong out there, and that's the kind of guy that he is. I've seen comparisons to I think like NFL.com had him compared to Zadarius Smith. I don't think he has like that much juice as like pass rusher, but like that's a high end, which is still, potentially in range.
I get that.
Yeah, I definitely get it. It falls in the same bucket though. Baltimore Ravens, late like early 2000s or early 2010s, when they had all those huge edge rushers off the edge, and they were just trying to collect those guys. So, it's this draft is. I understand why people don't like this draft. I mean, I said myself, like when I was ranking these guys, like you said earlier, like I got to like 10, I was like, I could not feel like less passionate about anybody left. It's just, someone who's at 10 could be at 30. I think we literally have that with Caleb Banks. Like we're all over the place. But this is a guy where it's like the lack of upside almost, or I guess perceived lack of upside, I should say, because no one knows what's going to happen. It kind of paints a clearer image of what he is. And that's still like an immediate starter for your defense, or at least someone who's going to play, 50 plus % of the snaps year one, and you're just kind of seeing what happens as a pass rusher. But again, I wrote about this week in my Jeremiah Love breakdown. Last year, according to Pro Football Reference, there were 21 teams that had positive EPA on the ground last year, 21 offenses. It's more than half the league. Normally, it's around, between like 14 to 18. 2 years ago it was at 12, but we're back. Like we're trying to run the ball again. You need guys like this. So maybe we bump them up a little bit, and maybe we realize it's all a circle. You don't have to go on about saying how running the ball doesn't matter.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's counterintuitive until you think about it. Is all these teams run their 2 high defenses, and everybody's running soft boxes, and everyone thinks you need the slot, the safeties, which you do, but you need a spine, and that's the safeties, but that's linebackers, and that's D tackles, and that's defensive ends that could set the edge. Watch the 49ers last year not blitz, run soft boxes, and just get absolutely mowed down because they had nobody to set the edge. They had nobody that could just hold up against a double team. Like, these guys might not be the heavy sack guys and get 6, they might just get 6 sacks, 5 sacks, decent amount of pressures. But again, it's if you're on the field, say 60 snaps in a game, and you're on the field for 40 plus snaps every single game. You don't have to come off the field in the run game. You can kick inside. I think both of these guys, Parker and Zion. Yeah, and Zion. God, I might want to call him a different Zion Williamson, Zion Young, that you can kick inside. But again, that's versatility in a good way. It's like, hey, we never have to take him off because, oh no, he's too limited in this area. Like, oh, he has too much of a weakness. The other team's just going to pick on that. The guy I compared him to is Trey Flowers, the old Patriots Lions.
Exactly. Yes, that's a great comp.
And then even I went off that just play style wise because Trey Flowers was so heavy handed. And if you watched him at Arkansas, it was like he was just every play he took it like it was again, I always use this line, but it's like the last play of the Super Bowl, like to win it. And he's like, they're losing by like 17 in the SEC, and he's just like, oh no, I'm taking out, I'm pounding away the tight end, I'm taking this run play. And Trey Flowers was 6'2", so there's like a height difference, 266. Zion Young is 6'6", 264, 263. Similar arm length. They both have long arms, but they're both heavy-handed. And I think similar athletic kind of threshold for both of them. But that's the guy, we're rugged. Like, that is just the best way to describe it. So if you're going to do soft boxes like these defenses want to do, you need guys that can just set the point. I say set the edge, but just hold the point because they're not getting help. Like, that's their job. So these guys are just way, way more valuable than I think people realize because they can do those hard things.
Dude, so valuable because, we get caught up in like flash and like, highlights and when you're watching like these 2 high defenses and you see like safeties making plays like at the line of scrimmage all over the place, someone up front is absolutely kicking ass. Maybe in a way that you don't see, but like you said, when there's 2 high, it's just a math problem. Someone's back, got less people up front, which means the fewer, like the defensive linemen are responsible for more gaps. Linebackers responsible for more gaps. Someone's got to be the ass kicker there. It's just a math problem at that point. So you need guys like this, and I think they're gonna be more valuable. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up like late round 1 at all, because someone's like, oh, that's the linchpin on our defense. We're gonna set it and forget it, and then we can build everything else out.
Yeah, and then you can get the luxury players, the players that are more limited but are high-end role players. Like that's what these guys enable you to do. Like, they open up other guys, not just the roles, but the roster and the personnel that you can use. That's why, these guys are just, they're not sexy, but and I hate using the term high floor, but that's what they are. They're just the high floor players. They just help out everybody. So, no, I'm kind of glad I talked about Young a little bit last week, but kind of continued that today. We also talked about last week, one of you guys you're higher on, you have him at 40. I had him in my top 60. Dani Dennis-Sutton from Penn State. We had a longer discussion about that last week. So I really I don't think we need to regurgitate it here, but really it was good just, athlete. Betting him get out of state college and just bet on the upside there, basically.
Yeah, bet on the upside. Played a lot of football, didn't play a whole lot of years, tested well, big, give it a dart throw.
These are the guys who throw darts on day 2, like, and plays hard enough where it's not like a softness thing or anything. It's just, I just don't think he has any idea what he's doing. Like, that's really what it is. And then, but like once in a while you see him do something, you're like, yeah, okay. And then he tests like a freak. And I talked about those thresholds, easily past the threshold. So wanted to throw him in, but if you like, we had about 10-minute discussion on him last Thursday. So if anyone wants to listen to that, but we both like him. both kind of think of him as a fun dart throw. Okay, we'll talk about maybe these last couple guys that we have in our top 50, top 60, give or take. Let's get into our Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. You had him at, where'd you have him at? 26. And then 26, I had him just outside my top 50, my next 10. So technically my top 60. You just talked about the NFL.com comparison from Lance. I think Zerline, his comparison there, I texted him or DM'd him on Twitter and said, this is exactly who I was thinking of. I can't believe you said this, which was D Ford. And I was like, he is very D Fordish, our Mason Thomas. You had him in your top 30. Let's talk about our Mason Thomas. More of pass rush juice, got some speed to him, but why'd you like him a little bit?
I don't know if I like him or I really like Brett Venables' defense. I mean, you know,
I agree with that, man.
That's where, I mean, because honestly, I put him in there and it was, man, I forget exactly which game they were playing, but they were playing a team that was running the piss out of the ball. Michigan, it was Michigan tape. And, you know, he had some plays where he's, you know, kind of eating blocks like against like heavy, you know, Michigan, like heavy down blocks, like they're trying to beat your ass up front. And he had some nice plays. And I don't think if this guy's your number one pass rusher, you're probably feeling pretty bad about where you are, you know, at some point. But I was just like, I don't know. He's a good enough athlete. He's willing to work hard. And it's not always clean against the run, but I feel like I saw just enough for us. Like, I guess this year maybe this is like a first round pick. I think like if you draft him, and more speaking like fan bases here, like if you draft him and your expectations like, oh, we got a 10 sack guy, probably not. But you've got someone who could be a capable starter down the road, and you know you at least pass like some threshold with a decent 40 time. Although you know we've gotten to a point now where running a 4.6 at 240 ain't that impressive, you know. So you know maybe this is a guy that I've got to look back at a little bit because I was just impressed. Like I was impressed, like I guess like by the movement steps, the way he's able to get into the backfield, but. You know, also that could be a function of Brett Venables' offense. But the Michigan game, I was like, screw it. I guess he's probably worth a dart throw in the top 40. And honestly, like I said before, once I got past 10, I was like, all right, I'm just going off vibes here a little bit. But I do like the idea of him, like, you know, being like a decent starter that's not great at everything, but you know, kind of like an NPC guy. And I'm talking myself out of my ranking as I'm doing this right now.
I hear that.
Stupid. Yeah, I was like, I don't like this guy that much. Because what I want to talk about the
when you
defensive
actually
tackle.
start talking it out.
Yeah,
like, man, why did I do this?
Yeah, why did I do this? I don't know if I really believe this, but you know, gotta pay rent.
You know, that's why for him when I watch him, it was the explosiveness or the quickness, maybe is the best way to describe it. Was he has a lot of insta wins where he's just so fast off the ball, so quick with his hands, and the play's over, done. Run plays and pass plays. So I agree with it. There's some flashes. It's just that if he doesn't insta win, it kind of
that was also
quickly
concerning.
drops off.
Yeah,
it quickly falls off
right
the cliff.
away.
It's truly
guys half the time.
He's the 2 seconds or less. Well, that's why I compare him to D Ford. Like, so D Ford, his 17 game average. So he played, 8 years. His 17 game average was 8 sacks a year. Damn. He missed time at times, we didn't play 16, 17 games. He racked up a lot of TFLs. Like his 17 game average for TFLs was 9. So you're looking at 17 combined kind of big plays for the defense. His combined tackles per year was 32. D Ford was I'm getting after the passer or making a big, if I win right away, if not, I'm kind of a nothing. He had a 10 sack year. He had a 13 sack year. Do not get me wrong. He had some bigger years, usually contract oriented, but that's kind of where I kind of got that comparison with Mason Thomas and with D Ford. And if anyone doesn't know, the R is literally just the letter R. It does not stand for anything. It's just R.
Yeah. I looked that up. His one parent wanted his name to start with R. The other parent wanted Mason to be his name, so they compromised with R space Mason Thomas. Teach their own.
All right. Hey, he doesn't need a pseudonym for if he's writing a book for an author. That's a great author's name, R. Mason Thomas, right there. It's good. Yeah. It is, right? I know. Yeah. I know. He's got that loaded. So I'm kind of funny hearing you kind of cool on him, because that's kind of was me watching him, because it was like, the first game I watched with him, I was like, oh, hell yeah, top 30. And then it was just like every game I watched after, it was like I kind of cooled on him afterwards. So I kind of had a similar experience maybe.
And honestly, like when you have guys like that, like, you really, if it's not your first step, you're not getting too far. That's usually coach putting you in the right spot to knife pass some.
Like you said, you like the defense.
I like the defense. Right spot, right time.
And, he doesn't. He's 240. He doesn't have overwhelming length, so there's not. That's why I talk myself more into Dennis-Sutton, because I'm like, okay, this guy has more stuff to maybe tap into to get to that next step. So we have two more guys here just to round out the edge discussion. We'll go with the last guy that we both have. I have Akheem Mesidor at 34. You have him at 46. Both Miami. This is Rueben Bain's teammate. Was at West Virginia. Started his career as a nose tackle, has moved around, had some injuries, super productive this year, will be 25 before the draft, which is part of the reason why I kind of had him lower. I thought I was going to be a lower guy at 34. You had him at 46. He can get after the passer, though. Again, this is kind of what this draft class is, if anybody's kind of learning or listening to this show on Tuesday's show. There's a lot of blemishes with these guys. There's no kind of, this guy's checking every box, like more than other classes, or we have that kind of like a lot of blemishes with these guys. But Mesidor, for me, the age, some injury stuff as well might crop up, and also just kind of it's just hard for me to bet on a historical outlier like that too high. Love it on day two. Top 30 is, I get a little scared with that. So Mesidor, though, for you, can get after the passers, got some length, all that stuff.
Yeah, and like he's like, even for the era that we're in, he's still an outlier for age. He turns 25 in like 2 weeks, bro.
Yeah.
Like a month before the draft, he's turned 25. That, like, even when we've talked in the past, like Bo Nix being an older prospect, Bo Nix is not 25 in April, man. Like it really is an outlier. And obviously, like, man, if you're an adult, you 25, you're basically done growing, right? So you have to project that what he is right now is probably what he's going to be in the NFL for like the entirety of whatever his peak is, because he's entering the league like at the peak of his physical prime, which is not where most of these guys are. That's a knock, because unless I think he's going to come in and be a 10-sack guy day one, then I'm not sure like what I'm trying to tap in here, like from a physical skill set or from a long-term perspective here. Like he's probably like immediately part of a pass rush group. But when I watched him, and the more I watched Miami's game tape, like his success, it's incompatible without Rueben Bain being on the other side of the field. It's wholly impossible to me that he could have had like the season that he had, like statistically, if he had to be like the lead dog on that defensive line.
We talked about him a few weeks ago, but the age thing for me is just like, again, that outlier thing I can't get past, because it's like I'll take him to a certain extent, a certain spot, because the two edges that were 25 on draft day that I looked up since, I want to say since the new CBA, but I think I actually looked since 2002. New CBA, I mean 2011. But it was Bruce Irvin from the Seahawks, who was drafted in the 20s, also West Virginia ties, and then Byron Young, who was drafted by the Rams in the third round. Those two guys were the guys that actually had success to an extent so far, Bruce and Young. What have they both kind of been? Like 6-sack guys, kind of a little bit of everything. Maybe never took that next step. Young has gotten a little bit more polished. They also had kind of a background that made sense why they were older. Like I think Bruce Irvin like had to get it, like dropped out of high school, like when his GED, and then like he was late to it all. And I think Young didn't play football or what came to it late and was like, oh, I'm going to go to like military school or something. And then it kind of just came to it late, as opposed to Mesidor. It was like, no, I've been playing, and so there's something too. It's like those guys were older for a reason. Like another older guy that I can think that would succeeded. Offensive line, older guys actually have more hits. But as far as edges, no, those were the only two guys. And they were drafted in the top 3 rounds for over a decade that had any success at this age. And I know every guy's different. Every player is different. It's just the film and then the physics, his physical profile, 32 and 1/8 inch arms, there and didn't test as far as running or agilities or jumps. I only can get so high with that, where it's like, I understand he can get after the passer and there's some good stuff, but to me, he seems more like a role player, a guy that's part of a good pass rush, but not the main guy or even the number 2 guy, more of like maybe kind of like a mid-tier 2 with another 2, if that makes sense. I only could get so high with him.
We talked about guys like Zion Young and TJ Parker. They're gonna run the play as called, right? They're gonna sit in the gap. They're gonna eat the bad stuff so someone else can make a play. This is the complete opposite of that. And what I think is interesting is, like, you got proof of concept to me at this year with Mesidor is he needs to go to a team that has not like a quality edge on the other side, like a good, like all around star player on the other side, because like he's hunting, man, and it's not an efficient thing all the time, especially against the run when he's cutting back a gap and then leaving something open, and everybody else on defense is so fast that they can kind of recover against that in college football. Dude, in the NFL, like that's 7-yard run, 8-yard run, 10-yard run. You got to just sit there and eat the bad stuff, because when you get greedy and you try to jump and you try to make a play where you're not supposed to be and you don't get it, now everybody else is wrong in a way that is so much faster than college, and also like. I jokingly describe this stuff as like being a bad teammate sometimes, but you can see it on when they run the stunts and the twists. If he's coming around, if he's looping like back inside and it's not immediately open and there's a guard or a center waiting to like engage with him, he won't rush. Like he'll just stop and just hang out at the line of scrimmage and like, okay, that's the kind of stuff that I can't get with, because I know why you're here. You're here to get at the end of the season, say, oh, look, I had 10 sacks. I had 12 sacks. On a defense like Miami that has a top 5 pick on the other side, your slot behind you, Kente Scott, he's going to be a top 100 pick. You've got defensive line. You've got all these guys behind you that are going to have a chance to play in the NFL. That's a severe talent overload compared to most college teams that you're going to face. So sure, go ahead. Jump from D to B, and then someone else will clean up for you. But it doesn't work like that in the NFL. And also, I kind of found I think I described it to you, like the pass rush stuff to me, it kind of felt like a batter in baseball who's batting like 150 and then it hits 35 home runs or something like that.
Yes.
Because it wasn't always consistent. But when he got you, he got you. So, of course, like he's an NFL player. He's a role player. I don't know if I see him as like a full-time starter. And if he's not a full-time starter, he's already 25. Like, what's the upside that we're trying to strive for here? So,
Tap into.
That's a day 2 pick.
Taking as is. Yeah, he's a wholesale player. Like, I'm taking this wholesale. There's nothing changing off of him. You kind of nailed it. That's kind of how I'm thinking of it all. You can't go rogue. There's just not that physical profile that I'm tapping into more. There's age. There's some injury stuff as well. Yeah, it's just a lot that's stacking up. That's hard for me to, again, wave away. Like I'm going to kind of not bet any outliers here and kind of just keep them into a safe spot. We'll take our first break. We'll come back with one last edge and a couple of guys outside our top 50 I want to touch on, and then we'll talk about our defensive line prospects as well. See you guys in a sec. All right, we are back. One remaining top 50 guy for you. This guy did not quite make it. I really cooled on this guy. This is from Texas A&M, Cassius Howell, who another T-Rex brother of this draft class, another sawed-off shotgun player in this draft class, in this edge class. You had Howell just inside your top 50. You had him at 43, just above Mesidor. What'd you like about him? Would you not like? But again, this is what this draft class seems like it's full of. A lot of guys with blemishes. And that's even though there's some appeal to them. But how'd you look at Howell?
I felt basically the same way that I do Mesidor. It was about the same thing. You know, I don't really see full-time like leadoff player, but he ain't gonna be 25 before the draft, so that's why I put him above there. You know, it's like because he's got and I hate to use this comp right now, but when I saw him his numbers at the combine, it kind of reminded me of what James Pierce did last year at the combine, where you know you have the 40-yard dash, and that was kind of it. You know, it's like the jumps weren't crazy. Great. And you saw it against the run when he's getting tossed out the club, you know, a handful of times a game. And I kind of feel like that profile it's in here with Cassius Howell. And I don't know, like the tape didn't really get me excited, you know. And yeah, that's it. I don't know. Just didn't really find him that exciting. He ran fast. He had a big year, but I don't know. What wasn't for me.
Yeah, he's a guy I really cooled on. I watched him, and then the combine didn't do any favors either when he measured in like that. I was one of those where there's a glut of edge prospects that I would consider late round 2 to round 3 guys. So middle, late down day 2 guys. There's a lot of them. And I'm going to hit on a couple right now, but he's one of those. And I just end up, it was easier for me to make an argument of why I like the other guys more. Like to him, it's just, you know, arm length is, it's room for error is what arm length does, especially on the edge. That's all it is. It's like guys can win with shorter arms, and guys can win with shorter arms offensive tackle. Like it happens all the time. It's just that you have to have other overwhelming aspects of your game. Super strong, like Rueben Bain, super strong as an ox. Okay, that's how he's able to overcome his lack of length. He's athletic enough, but he's strong as crap. So he's like a shotgun, and then the play is over. Howell is like a finesse guy without length, and that's weird to me. Like that's just an archetype I don't really see. And he's another guy that's kind of an instant win guy. Either it wins instantly or it's just nothing. Because again, that's where arm length comes up. Room for error. Arm length is going to let you kind of readjust. It's going to give you space. If a guy gets his hands in on you, it gives you more capability to do secondary moves. And to him, yeah, I just kind of got really cool on him. Still have him as like a round 3 guy. But he's like, I don't think he even made my top 60. But he would have been just outside. If I did top 75, he would have been in that. Not yet. Al and Joey, not yet. Top 75. Nope. That's a couple weeks away.
I can even
before I get that out. Yeah, but he probably make my top 75 as opposed to top 50. It sounds like splitting hairs. It's just others kind of appeal to me more with maybe their physical profile, their athleticism, maybe what I project their role to be. A couple of those guys, might as well touch on them right now. We have the guy I am a little partial to, but I also, again, I don't want to be a hypocrite because everything I talked about with Mesidor, this guy calling falls in the same thing as Romello Height from Texas Tech, who had basically no production. Man. Old player this year, but he's got some juice. He's just twitchy and he's not big. There's nothing like he is a guy I should wave away. But again, I'm projecting him into a round I'm comfortable with. I view him as more of a somewhere between 50 and 75, not top 50, not early day 2, but round 3. Like where Byron Young got picked, yeah, I'm very comfortable with that.
Sure.
That's the problem with this draft, though. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of round 3 guys. Some of them have to go in round 2, and some of them have to go in round 1. But Height is a guy I kind of warmed up to, and I mean him and Bailey just like Height would have some plays that were almost as impressive. I would say as impressive as Bailey. But again, have to understand his age, his play history, all that stuff. But I am, and his lack of weight. I believe he's sub 240. But man, he's just. Yeah. Electric, maybe is a good way to put it. He's just got that. He's just got that twitch, and I think there's just a role for him in the league, even if it is as a DPR.
Yeah, when I was like just scanning, like okay, like just who are the players in the draft, and you see like Texas Tech has got this trio of defensive linemen, and I turned on the tape and I was like, really, number 9, like this is an NFL like defensive line, like just looking at him, and then like he's definitely an NFL player. And like for where you can get him, I haven't really seen anyone talk about like a round 2 pick. I don't, maybe unless I'm missing, see more like round 3 and down. And this is like a deep cut comp for him. But the Falcons a few years ago, when Terry Fontenot first got there, they drafted this guy, D'Angelo Malone from San Diego State, who was not very good, not good. But this seems like the kind of guy they thought that they were getting when they drafted, D'Angelo Malone. Just, okay, not, the size is going to be a problem at times, but hustles, productive. He knows like his role within the function of the defense, and he hustles.
Yep.
That's worth something. So that can get you in the league. I don't know if I see him as like a starter or anything like that. But shoot, like as a part of like a rotation and playing meaningful snaps, like he can definitely be out there. So I was a fan of his tape, and then it was one of the things where I was like, oh, I kind of like this guy. Oh wait, this is 4th school in 6 years. Got it.
Exactly, and he barely had any production until this year. No, trust me, that's barking loud at me every time I try to like talk about him. It's funny. One of his closest physical comparisons is Byron Young, who we just keep talking about. So again, Byron Young was drafted around 3. I'm very comfortable with Romello Height around 3. If you have this that set up and you're like, hey, we just want, it's like the defensive end version or edge version of a guy that takes the top off a defense at receiver. We're like, this guy might only get 2 catches a game, and maybe there's more other stuff that he's just creating space for everybody else. But kind of how I gauge that, where it's like, this guy might be your number 3 pass rusher, but he can play 20 snaps for me, 25 snaps. And if he's getting a sack or maybe 2 pressures a game, 3 pressures, that's well worth that if you're just reasonable about it. But he measured at 239, 6'3", 32 and a quarter arms, so not overwhelmingly long. 4'6", 40, which I hope so at 239, you're running that fast. But his jumps were really good. He had a 10.5 broad and a 39-inch vert. And I really look at broad jump for because that's just getting off the ball and jumping. Yeah, obviously it's jumping, but just exploding off the ball. I think verts can be fungible a little bit. You look at it, but I think broad is just a little bit more of like, that's actually what these guys are. Because I mean, in football, you're not jumping up unless you're catching the pass. These guys are shooting off the ball forward. So that's why I look at that. And he easily checks the threshold. Again, I look at 9.9 and he's 10.5. So a couple other guys, the day 2-ish, day 3 guys I also like, or maybe just I could put it maybe outside the top 50. Gabe Jacas, did you watch him from Illinois? Another rugged guy.
I've got him.
Another heavy-handed guy. Okay, I had him. He did not make my top 60, but again, this guy would have made my top 75. So, just kind of splitting hairs. Same grouping as these other guys. I kind of almost was like, am I playing into my heavy-handed run first type a little too much? So I was like, I got to get some more of the twitchy guys in there. But just, I know he doesn't coach there anymore. He coaches at Illinois now, but my head coach at Wisconsin was Brett Bielema, and now he's at Illinois. This is a Brett Bielema type of edge player. It's a Big Ten edge. I don't know how else to describe it. He's 6'4", 260, 10-inch hands, 33-inch arms. It's got some production, but just, another guy that I can describe as rugged. And I really liked him, and just good. It seems like he's just a hard-working type. I talked to Coach B a little bit about him, and just he loves him. And he plays like a good teammate. Again, grouping him with the TJ Parker, the Zion Youngs, that little group, that little tier, he's 3rd of that. But man, I really liked him. I think you'll like him too if you do check him out. But just a tough, hard-nosed guy.
They put a lot of defensive players in the NFL recently, man. They've been churning them out.
Hey,
got a lot of guys.
There's a reason Aaron Henry got swooped up by Notre Dame. My guy Hank.
Yeah,
there's a reason, dude. Bielema's Bielema, man. Like he's got an eye for talent. He's got an eye for coaching talent. He's got an eye for player talent. He really does. And he gets the benefit where he gets to develop these guys because that's what he sells them. Hey, we're going to develop. I don't know. I think that's why Bielema's awesome, man. But no, he's got an eye for talent. He gets these guys, and just rugged is the best way to describe him. I like Gabe a lot. The other guys last guy I want to touch on, Malachi Lawrence from UCF, got some quickness, got some burst to him as well. Got some good hand usage. A little rigid, and that's why I couldn't get over the top with him. That's what I thought too. Just stiff-hipped. stiff-hipped, like, and very much so. But good off the ball, quick, and then he can do some nice hand swipes and everything. But just sometimes where it's like he can't redirect that well, and then run game wise, like he'll be right at the guy run game wise, but then can't adjust if, say, like a ball carrier goes by him because he's rigid and doesn't have that agility. So I liked some aspects of him, but just couldn't. Again, he made top 60. Just couldn't get over the top with him. Where again, another round 3 guy that just group them all in. But there's some appeal to him again. But talking about kind of like where we're talking about, even like Romello height, throw him into a kind of rotation, not an ace, maybe not even your top number 2 guy, but part of a secondary auxiliary pass rush type, and plays fairly hard too. So did you check out Lawrence a little bit as well?
Yeah, I did. I only watched like half a game. I was like, okay, I get this. Like he honestly,
I watched 4.
He's a guy like he's a guy like where honestly, like you just need to watch a couple pass rushes from the broadcast angle where you can like kind of see a little zoomed out, because he's fast off the ball and he gets to the top of like the rush, and when it's time to cut, he hits a force field, you know, and he can't just,
he can't run the hoop. Right there. He can't run the hoop.
No. And you know, it's a tough skill to find. You know, that's why those guys go first round. Like if like the pinnacle, the pinnacle to me still Von Miller at Texas A&M. That guy. It was like the top half of his body and the lower half of his body were 2 separate entities almost. Like that's how like athletic he was at his peak. Tough to find, but still, you can be a good player without it.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're speaking the same language. Oh, the last guy I want to talk about too is Derek Moore from Michigan. He's got some juice too, pass rusher. I've started to like him a little bit more. So maybe the other guys in this group that I'm tiering all the kind of the same. But I liked him as well. A couple Michigan late watches for me. I like their tight end as well. But yeah, no, Derek Moore, he's got some juice. So that's another guy I kind of want to throw in there. And then the last guy, this is a day 3 guy, Caden Curry from Ohio State. Just a dirty work dude, and just productive, and just I'm very reasonable what he is, but if I were to bet on a day 3 guy,
white guy.
His name's Caden Curry. So
yeah, Caden Curry. Okay, yeah, yes, 92. He 92. Had the big hit on Mendoza in the Big Ten title game to start that off. Yeah. And that's like when you know you have too many players, when you're like, you know, redshirt senior. Oh wait, he's an NFL player. Wow, that's nice. It's good find to have. Yeah.
That's the thing. Ohio State guys that were backups that sat there for 3-4 years were still 4 or 5-star recruits. It's not like Wisconsin or Illinois guys that sat there for 4 years that were 2-star recruits. But yeah, he really didn't get a lot of run until his last year. But when he got on the field, he was always he just does stuff. Like these guys, again, this guy's going to stick in the league. But if I were in round 4, like, or even late round 3, I really like Caden Curry. There's some other guys, but again, we just went so long with that. Just, LT Overton, Max Llewellyn, there's a few others, but those are the guys I really wanted to touch on. So let's get into now the defensive line, aka defensive tackles, 3-4 defensive ends, nose tackles. Interesting class as well. There's some good names. There's some, again, guys with blemishes. A guy that I'm excited to talk about that I've kind of, you asked me a different day and I would have a different opinion on him. So might as well just start with him right now. Peter Woods from Clemson. Then we got, so I had him at 20. You had him at 13. Caleb Banks, I had at 35. You had at 9. Then Caden, the foot injury is a little scary for me. But I know you love Caleb Banks. This is becoming football.
Hey, he did all that stuff with the foot injury. He Julio'd it, at the combine.
He Julio'd it, ran the same time and everything. Dude, he's just a hoss, man. That's the best way I can describe him. He's just such a hoss. Cade McDonald from Ohio State. I had a 36. You had 27. Then you had Keldrick Falk at 20. I mentioned I had Keldrick Falk at 12. I totally understand why you grouped him in this group. We'll talk about him. Christian Miller from Georgia. I had a 39. You had a 36. I had Dominique Orange, the big citrus from Iowa State, at 41. Lee Hunter at 49. Neither of those two major top 50. But then you had Grayson Halton as well at 47. Let's start with Banks, and then we'll get to Woods. Caleb Banks, you've hinted at it. You're a fan, but maybe no one's checked out the previous pod, so we talked about him last Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, but very recently. We talked about how we have had him mocked, kind of hinted at why we like him so much, but maybe just give your too long didn't read of Caleb Banks, who, yes, I say this in the best way possible, a hoss at defensive tackle.
I had like a reverse reaction to the foot injury because, they say a foot injury, after the comment was like, damn, like that sucks. And I read, no, he did this with the foot injury. I was like, oh, wait, you're 330 and you hit damn near 5 flat on the 40 with a hurt foot? We might be talking like Thanos here, level athlete. Like to me, like, it's so impossibly rare to find guys like this. Like I've been trying to think like just straight body composition, athleticism. Like what's the comp here? It's like
no clue.
Albert Hainsworth. Like
I was thinking of the old here? Jags guys, like maybe Henderson or
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, those guys.
I know who you're talking about. John Henderson. Damn, Marcus Stroud. Marcus Stroud was the other one.
Marcus Stroud. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. I that's where my brain went first because I was thinking, damn, like the height here is kind of like the throwing me off. And I went back and I watched it. Man, he's so much more athletic than those guys were. And I talked about it last week. It's funny. I've been doing a couple of Bills, guest spots on Steve Tasker's show, and he was kind of giving me, because he's like, defensive tackle with like no tackles in 3 games. I'm like, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, he of all like whatever like bucket of like non-productive guys in college that we've seen in the past, he to me is the closest to being someone that can be like a monster stat sheet stuffer if he just learns how to tackle, man. But it's so like I understand why people have him low because it's so bad. Like the tackling is for as often as he is in the backfield, he should have.
That's why he shows up so much.
Yes, and it's not just like because sometimes you see like these guys where there's 6'6", 330, like Rashid Hageman, right? And there's just no earthly way that physically, like most Big Ten offensive linemen, we're just gonna be able to handle that. He was like 6'6", 340, absolute freak athlete. But the way he was going about it was just, I'm gonna close my eyes and just run through this center and see if I can get there on the back end. But Caleb, he's got a lot of technician to his game up until it's time to make a tackle. Like the movement stuff they do, freaky reps on some of that stuff against LSU and Tennessee. I'm watching split double teams. I'm watching read down blocks and get into the backfield, and then it just falls over. Like sometimes he doesn't even get close, which is what blows my mind. The one play that's really burned into my brain.
He gets really narrow. Like his feet get too close, and he's like, keep your base, just keep your base. Yeah.
You know what it's like? It's like in if you've played like recent iterations of this, like the crappy version of Madden in CFB, where you kind of like you understand like where the play is going, you've got to go in, and then it's kind of hard to control the guy like as you get up to actually make the tackle. Like that's where he's kind of at. And the one play that's burned into my brain, it's against LSU, and it's one of the freakiest plays like I've ever seen, where they're like running like a toss towards the sideline. And, he eats like the first blocker from the tackle, and then he picks up the blocker from the center, and he's stringing out all the way to the sideline. And he's athletic enough to spin back inside. And he spins right into a spot. Like the running back is in his lap, and he just falls over. I'm like, what was that? But we can fix it. And that's why he's number 9 at my big board. I can't find anyone else. I can't even think of many players in the history of the game that have this athleticism packed in this frame. So we got to take him high, and we're going to teach him how to tackle. And if not, I can live with getting fired over that, because my planet theory, I'm going to live and die by it. We took the outlier. It didn't work, but he's a lot closer than guys who don't produce in college. He's not Shamar Stewart, man. He's not one of those guys. He's close.
Yeah.
Just
who didn't know how to
figure
play
out how to tackle. Right.
Yeah. It's I mean, if you hear even us talking on this show, like even talking about the edge guys, and we're like, oh, this guy's this, and they're all grouped together. What you keep saying, like, hey, there's not a lot like guys like this. That's his appeal, is that like this is a different profile and play style and stuff you can tap into. And honestly, Marcus Stroud is the best comparison for him. That like we stumbled upon like the proper comp.
And he's 20 pounds heavier than Marcus Stroud was.
So Stroud came out the combine at 321 and then lost weight. So you're right. He slimmed down, but then ended up weighing 310 in the pro. So like slimmed down to a svelte 310. But Stroud was 6'6", Caleb Banks 6'6" and a quarter. Arm length. This is where Banks is just unbelievable. 35-inch arms, which is just rare. I mean, look at it. If anyone's watching the YouTube show, you can see the pictures of him right now. This is a weird body type. Like it's like a basketball player that weighs 320. Ron tractor trailer. I hand size 10 and 7/8. For whatever reason, Stroud's arm and length isn't where I'm looking up. But then even testing wise,
it's I see 34.5-inch arms, 10-inch hands for Stroud.
So almost identical to Banks. And then vert 32 inches for Banks. And Stroud had a 30-inch vert. 9'2" broad for Stroud. 9. I always have to do the math here.
9'6" for Banks.
9'6" for Banks. So you see, there's some physical comparisons here. There's some size comparisons here. There's some play style. That guy Stroud was an absolute mauler. That's the only guy.
We're dating ourselves here a little bit. We're dating ourselves.
You telling me, man? 2001, he got drafted, and I vividly remember that pick 13. He was drafted, and that's where Bank. Anyone doesn't know, Stroud, played with the Jags and Bills mostly. He was a second team All-Pro once, 3-time Pro Bowler. So if you get that in the first round, you're happy with it. But that's the only guy I can think of. But Banks is just so talented, and again, he's a totally different flavor than anybody else in this class. So it's like he has the foot injury stuff, but the thing about him is he already showed the toughness to play through that, like you said. And if you're going like these other guys that we're about to talk about, there's such a glut of this kind of other types, like guys that don't have that dynamic playability to like really just create for a defense. Like Banks really just has that, where it's like, no, not only just a good player, but like a needle mover potential. So yeah, I had him lower because it's just for me, the injury stuff and everything. But I mean, God, if he gets picked in the teens, I wouldn't be shocked or even like squint at it. I just be, I get it. Yeah. There's just not much else you can like kind of, anywhere's an awesome number, 88. Don't get to see that much all the time. Defensive lineman. Maybe
Jalen Carter.
Oh, moving it.
Yes,
another one.
I was about to say my last bit on this is I have Caleb Banks at 9. I would be stunned if he's drafted in the top 10. I don't think that makes any sense. Like or not that
Senior Bowl helped him
I would do it and
then
I'll get fired. Yeah, the Senior Bowl helped him, and it's just like outlier stuff. Like I would do this and say I'm gonna get fired trying to build woke Albert Hainsworth. That's how I'm going to go out in the NFL. But I would expect him probably to go like, late teens, early 20s at some point.
Yeah. It's that's, I get to it with quarterbacks all the time. The Heineke joke. It's like, I can find this all the time in every draft. Like there's not a lot of Caleb Bankses in every draft. That's why it took us 25 years ago, one prospect from 25 years ago to think of anybody. All right, Peter Woods.
Okay, I got one.
Sorry.
I got one more thing. One more thing on this, because I just looked up Albert Hainsworth's numbers. No, Albert Hainsworth was a different stratosphere. He was 6'6", 320, 4'8", 40, 39-inch vertical.
Is insane.
Dude, if he carried
him and Henderson played together in college.
Yeah.
Him and Henderson played together. That's what always.
The accountants.
And John Henderson got their 6'7". John Henderson's 6'7" and ran a 4.87 at 3.06. And those guys played together in college. And then Henderson played with Stroud in Jacksonville. Yeah. Anybody look up John Henderson's slap video? That'll be good. All right. So other defensive lineman, Peter Woods, a guy we've talked about, touched on a bunch, kind of cooled on him. You had 13-20. That's kind of, there's dynamic ability there. He can get another guy that misses tackles. The short arms kind of comes up when he's kind of lunging for a guy, but can just get in the backfield. Yeah. And I don't know, the pass rush sustain is where I kind of got lower on him, where it's like, is that a fight thing? Is that a technique thing? Is that an arm length thing? No matter what, it's not a good thing. And that's why I kind of cooled on him. But it's just like, he's so quick. And there's not a lot of guys that can move like that. And now he's not testing. He only ran a 10 instead of a 40. It's just, there's so much screaming at me to lower him. And then I put him at 20. That was if everyone looks at my big board, I think like my 18, 19, 20, 21, it's very funny. It's like, these are the guys I don't know how to bucket. It's like, I really like them, but there's stuff that's just keeping me, like Jordan Tyson's one guy, really like him, twitchy receiver, but has injury stuff and a little raw with some routes. And I'm like, okay, you're 18. It's like that little bucket there. But yeah, Peter Woods, and we've touched on, you had him at 13. Anything to add on there to him? Again, not a lot of profiles like this.
Yeah, not a lot of profiles like this. The arm length is really concerning, but man, like I would say like at 13, from because when I just like, he was one of the very few players I watched last summer. I'm like, oh, this is a top 5 pick. Like, he's going to be a monster this year. It didn't happen. So, like, I said, like, I dropped him to 13 from where I thought I was going to have him, like, because it was inconsistent. But, man, again, like, there's some planetary stuff in there where it's like, okay, well, he's still, like, 300 pounds and a really good athlete at his best. So, that's another one where someone's going to look at it and say, hey, we can kind of harness this and get this moving back in the right direction. Because, it honestly, we've gotten to a point sometimes, I would say outside of quarterbacks, like the high school recruiting stuff, because I feel like we've gotten a little too many 5-star quarterback grades. When, come on, man, like just reality is of the position, man, it can't be that many. But when you look at it, like they're pretty good at like finding guys with pedigree and the athletic traits to like be big time football players. And if you go back, like you'll see guys who were ranked highly and maybe didn't have great college careers who have gone on to be productive pro players. So I just kind of believe in like that baseline level of talent. Middle of the first round, let's see what happens without like a gargantuan investment here.
He's the ultimate great to the flash player. It's like his flash plays are special, and it's just incredible. Everything else, it leaves so much to be desired, including the arm length. I mean, 34 or 31 and a quarter arms. Again, he has the athleticism and quickness to kind of negate that. But I wish it was every snap, it was like every play he was doing something. There's just so many times that he went a little quiet, especially this year. Again, this guy was my number 1 player going into the season. And it's just, I've cooled on him. I warmed a little bit back up because it's like, again, the guys don't move like this, but there's just enough red flags. Like the guy mid-level comparison I kind of have for him now is Mo Hurst. When he was coming out of Michigan. One. Yeah, that's kind of where I've kind of, I know, injury stuff, where he had the heart condition, I believe. Yeah. But Mo Hurst, and they actually, if you look at their bill, it's very similar. So like, that's the thing. It went from like, man, this guy could be a Diet Coke Aaron Donald to like more like, Mo Hurst, who actually was kind of like a Diet Coke Aaron Donald. So it kind of works out. Yeah. All right. After those top 2 guys, we then get kind of the glut, I would call it. We'll end with, actually, let's get to Keldrick Falk, actually, before we get out of here. So, Keldrick Falk, I have him as an edge. You have him as a defensive tackle or defensive lineman. Totally get it because he moves all over the defensive line. I listed both for him. I copped out. When I did my ranking, this might just be L because I listed both. It's just DL/edge. Like, I don't know. Which is an appeal to him because he could be a good interior. He could fit in a 3-4 defense. A true, I know everyone's a nickel and sub and all that, but he could be a 3-4 at D end. He could be a 3-4 OLB. He could be a 4-3 D end, and then I think he could be a pass rush 3 tech. On pass rush downs. Like he has real versatility that's already been proven. Auburn's defense moving him around a ton, which also gets into like, don't get to see the production and growth that you maybe want. Right. Super young, great traits, really long. He sat next to me on my flight home, actually, from the combine. Because he was training in Vegas. Did not have the balls to ask him when he was going to run the 40 because he didn't run. But anyways, looks the part. I'll say that. But his run reps, again, there's more higher floor here than I think he's getting credit for. I get the pass rush is still developing, but his run reps are already good. Like I think right away he's a plus run defender, and he plays hard too. That's another thing. And he's young, and he's supposed to be a great teammate, all that stuff. This is just a profile I bet on. And I get it. Like maybe he never figures out the pass rush. You want to see more. You just don't get these traits, that physicality, that play, that mindset. and real versatility. That's not just projection. Like that, I actually can watch him line up on the interior on several downs. So yeah, I'm pretty high on Falk just overall. I kind of the high guy this whole process. But for you with Falk, his measurements 34 and 3/8 arms, nearly 6'6", 275, 276, almost 10-inch hands. But Falk, for you, what would you think about him?
I would argue he has the best run defense tape in the class. Like, I don't even know how close it is on that front. Like, of all the defensive linemen, because when I was watching him, I was like, how much does this guy weigh? Because like he's kind of built like a basketball player. Obviously, he's 275, so he's not the classic basketball player. but when you look at him, you're like, that's a guy that could easily put on like 20 more pounds and still not lose too much juice. Like, there's a lot of this is where football sounds so weird, but there's a lot of spaces, like, just put power and muscle there along the frame, and dude, like,
that's what I think he should do too. I think he should play at 285. Like, that's where I think he should do.
Just get a little bigger, and I'm sure he's a guy early 20s. You're gonna get bigger. That's just how it works. So like in a couple years, I think he could be like one of the premier run defenders in the league, or like in the next couple years. That's what I would project as like the floor for him. Which is like, again, we're talking about these guys all day.
That's like, awesome.
Right. Like, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Where I got hung up on him was, it to me, it was kind of like, I don't really have like a strong comp for him, but the way that he was kind of used, I was thinking, I first started thinking like Trayvon Walker at Georgia, but even and I'll say this, like Falk is a better run defender now than Trayvon was at Georgia in terms of like just overall technique, and obviously he's got a lot of power. There's a game against Kentucky where he is playing 4-eye, talking about Keldrick Falk, and just like just nuking people on the interior every single play. And it's not just like, I'm out of control, I'm big and fast. It's like, no, structured, hands, feet, like we're bringing all of it and then get into the backfield and finishing plays. But he doesn't have, to me, like that top end, like freakazoid athleticism that Trayvon had. Because Trayvon, man, like there's one play that I'll never forget where they played Florida the year they won the second national title, and Trayvon's like, he's playing like off the line, almost damn near like a nickel, like almost like that far out, like almost the slot. And Florida they run like a toss out, and like in space, he's like playing the blocks in space, defeating blocks, then finishing the TFL at like 275. And I was like, okay, like that is something that most teams don't have. And I think Falk, like, I guess like by splitting like between D-line and edge, I just kind of, I'm a little dubious that he's like that, like a guy that get like 10 sacks off the edge. Like, I think he's more of a pocket pusher maybe, but didn't quite have like the bend that I guess I was hoping to see, which is the only reason why he's down here. And obviously I'm going to change some stuff because I do think he's good. Like, obviously a first round pick, and like the worst version of him to me is still probably going to be like someone that can be like an elite level run stuffer, which again, super duper valuable. I just kind of wonder like what I guess like what pass rush trait am I betting on here? I'm not sure that it was immediately clear to me, but man, like the run defense stuff, like that is straight up teach tape, man. Like if you wanted to show someone how to be a dog at 4-eye, you show them this guy right here.
Length, he can bend, so like he can dig in and readjust if he kind of gets, loses right away. There's some Eric Armstead here, like that's maybe role wise. I've seen the Michael Williams comparisons from last year, another 49ers guy, Georgia guy you talked about as well. They're a little different flavors to me. But I understand that kind of comparison. Young, long, better run defenders than pass pass rushers right away. But again, even if he turns into I think this is why I even wrote my write-up about him and my last big board was, even if he becomes an average pass rusher, that's a great player. Plus run defender and maybe be a 5-6 sack guy. yeah, like I'm going to take that in every draft class. Yeah, I just can't fade him. Like I just, this profile I'm always going to bet on. And I actually think more often than not, because he has the want to and already shows that he can be a run defender and has versatility that he already shows. None of this is theory. Like Travon Walker was so much theory. And like, just like, there's, you know, because how Georgia plays in, I get the freakiness, and that was a wide open draft class as well. Like, Falk has just a little bit more real to him and a little higher floor than I think he's getting credit for. So again, I'm going to just bet on this profile all the time. He had a 9.9 broad. Again, that's right at the cutoff of what I look at 276. And so that's not cutoff. That's just more the threshold I look at to be a true, maybe project to be more of a dynamic pass rusher. So the fact that he has that at that body type, that's appealing to me. But that's why I had him as a top 12 player, and that's the lowest I'll go on him. Like I just really, really like him.
He's going to get bumped up when I redo mine for sure. He's going to get a
just a cool player. All right, next one. But I want to say this too, is I understand if people aren't high on him because of the lack of production, and like his pass rush didn't get that much better this year, plateaued. But again, he's young and he moves around a lot. So it wasn't like every snap he's rushing the edge every single play and just running a wide nine. He's a 4. He's a third down nose at times. He's doing a little bit of everything. So that's, again, narratively scouting it. That's why I get more optimistic. And I get it. That sometimes I'm going to miss, or, you know, the guys never develop, but there's just so much of his profile that I'm willing to bet on. All right, other guys. Cade McDonald from Ohio State. I am at 36. You have 27. So basically the same tier. Plugger, I think is the best way I can describe it. Hold classic that point. Nose, this guy, if you want a nose, maybe sometimes pass rush, you want to do a little bit more, but that's a lot of noses. But if you just want a guy to plug, hold the point, help out your run game, and maybe stay on the field pass rush downs, if you can maybe tap into more, he's young too. Yeah. I had the stupidest line about him in our mock, maybe 2 mocks ago. What are we on, mock 7 right now? So maybe mock 6.
Steve was also making fun of us for that.
Yeah, and I bet they were. I made a joke about it. I said, if you want to add beef, what better person to call than someone with the last name McDonald? Like, you know, McDonald's. Like, that's where I got booed. I was the sad koala like on that one. But anything to add with Cade McDonald, your cousin?
I mean, it's shoot, I wish I was that big. Maybe things would turn out a little better for me. Man, it's weird because I guess I was expecting to see more when I finally turned on tape, but I still liked a lot of what I saw.
Yep.
And I think ultimately, like, one of the most interesting things about him is, for a nose tackle, he had a lot of production this year, man. Like, a lot. 65 combined tackles, 9 TFLs, 3 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. From like someone who will probably like go no further than like a head up on a guard in the NFL. That's a lot of production, man. So, it's just one of those things where, again, Ohio State, hey, they've acquired a lot of good football players. This appears to be another one, but this is like as classic of a nose tackle prospect as it gets, with a little upside to be more disruptive maybe than some of your standard guys. Yeah,
he's almost the antithesis of what we talked about with Woods and even Banks, where it's like he actually makes every tackle. Like he finishes when he's in play to make a play. Like say if running back's running right by him, he's going to make that tackle. He's strong. And there's just a little more to tap into here. Like I'm not going to say he's going to be a super dynamic pass rusher. He doesn't really shed. He's kind of just he's just so strong. And it's the best way to put it, where he's, if I'm even at pass rush, he's not going to get, run, he's never going to get pushed back. Maybe he doesn't push all the way forward, but it's always going to be a stalemate. And again, if you have the right defense for that, it's a great fit. I think I one mock where I had him going to the Vikings, and the kind of just one of those where it's like, that's kind of what they need more than I think they think. You know, any defense that plays a 4-3, or I shouldn't even say a 4-3, but a too high defense, he's a perfect interior guy for you. Like maybe not making those big plays every down, but eating so many blocks that everybody else can kind of stay free and do all the fun stuff. So we're kind of in the same tier with him. We got a couple more here. Christian Miller, Georgia. I had 39, you had 36. What did you think of Christian Miller? Another kind of mauling defensive guy, defensive tackle.
Yeah. Mullen guy, to me, maybe a little bit more of an upside play because he's a guy that's got some bad tape out there too. But the good. He's a very, very streaky player, but I think in day two, it kind of makes sense to take a dice roll on the trades.
Yep. 33-inch arms. Another God, does everybody weigh 321? Why it just feels like everybody's the same size. 10-inch hands, big. Yeah, everyone's 321. I think with him is you talked about how much you liked watching Oklahoma's defense, and it's how much I hate watching Georgia's defense when I'm scouting guys.
Yeah,
and they're trying to just run play calls to do a clinic at the end of the year and talk about how smart they are and talk about all these play calls they can do with all these 5-star recruits. It's really frustrating to try and grade a guy.
Dude, because just run 2 plays, please. Like they get so cute with it. You have the monster just kill people. What's going on here?
They're like slaying all these guys. It's like, just eat it. Just have these guys eat blocks and let CJ out and make tackles. Yeah. Like, what? It's not that hard. They've run all these funky one-off blitzes and slants and simulateds and creepers. And I get it. You guys win. But it's like, why? Like, I don't know. They make it harder on themselves than they have to. But I see Miller so many times. He's slanting. And it's like, I just want to see him eat and just go straight up the field and go in between 2 guys, in between 2 blockers and do something there. So that's why I'm willing to stay a little higher on him, because I want to see him in more of a true NFL defense. That NFL defenses are varied and they slant guys all the time. You watch the Broncos, you watch the Vikings, don't get me wrong. So maybe he has some appeal to those teams. But I think if he gets in more of a straightforward scheme, he would get a little boost. But I do like him a lot. There's some just plays where he's just not doing a lot, and just the plays that you actually get to see him kind of play football and use his gifts and use his traits. That's the more of the appeal for him. He's got great size, but again, a lot of these guys are grouped to middle. That's again getting back to our Caleb Banks discussion. That's why he's such a different flavor. The last guys. We have 3 more with him quick. Grayson Halton, I'm sorry, from Oklahoma. You got him at 47. Why'd you squeeze him into your top 50?
Yeah, I like the tape. I like the tape within reason. Obviously, like the combine. The reason why you can only like the tape within reason is because he's not the heaviest guy in the world, and it shows. Because I was originally watching for R. Mason Thomas. I was like, damn, who's this little bugger, 56 in the middle? He keeps making plays over and over and over again, and it's not always clean, but you can tell he's got some juice. And I don't remember how much he weighed at the combine, but I was like, is this guy like 275, like 280, like in that range? So he should be fast, he should be explosive. Yeah, it's 293. Yeah, 293 at the combine, So I don't know. He just looked like a skinny guy to me when I was watching him play. But again, like there's a lot to like in terms of just like the explosiveness, and I think some of the hand usage. I don't know if he's going to be like a great run defender. Like I think you probably got to stick him next to Big Brother. Have a big like a Caden McDonald maybe next to him. But yeah. he can be disruptive. It's just it was really just the weight and the size that has him down here for me, because I think his game might be a little bit better suited for college football than the NFL, but traits wise, there's still some things to like here.
Yeah, he's got some pop. He gets off the ball. He can be disruptive. Yeah, the classic kind of undersized gap shooting 3-tech. I would say the best version, not the best, but the guy that comes to mind right now in the NFL is Osoda Gazua. I'm not saying these two are comparable, but just saying that role, with the 49ers. So, no, I liked him, but I saw him more as a round 3 guy, but I get the appeal. Kind of just, he fire off the football and create some disruption. And sometimes that's really nice to have, even on early downs. So the last guy I had that you didn't have was, I had 2 of them. Dominique Orange, Big Citrus. Talked about him a little bit last week, I believe, and just has no production to speak of. I believe he had 1 career sack, but Iowa State's defense was just so unique, and I get why they do it, but all 3 down fronts, they slant their defensive lineman one way. They have the linebackers scrape over the top of the other. So a lot of his play, he's fulfilling a role. He's drawing on the line. That defense was not about like, hey, line up and win. I get it. It's Iowa State. They're well coached. This is how they have to win. And so they just have these guys slant across and they create, I mean, it works. You watch Iowa State's defense. I'm not knocking it. Like this one works. It's just that when you're trying to grade a nose tackle as an NFL prospect, it's kind of hard because you're just seeing them slant across past the tackle. Having said that, you get to see some of his traits, some of his light feet. I just think that he has enough length and has enough stoutness. And I just saw some explosive plays from him as far as like rushing the passer. Like he was able, I really want to say the Arizona State game is what won me over for him. I think I was watching Max Hanisher at right tackle, who, by the way, his film against Texas Tech is what put me over the top when we were talking about Bailey and everything. He shut down Bailey, Hanisher. But anyways, back to Dominique Orange is, I don't know. I think there's just more to him. Obviously, you can't get worse production wise, but I don't think this is like a Maisie Smith. You know, like I think Orange has just more to him and understands how to play. Smith was so frustrating to watch. I never understood that first round pick. But Orange, I have him in my top 50. Again, that's kind of a late second, early third round grade in this draft class. But I just think there's more to him because I think he just moves well. You get to see him as a looper and stuff. And I just think he has some more dynamic playability to him. But he's a guy that really grew on me as I watched him. Like, you can kind of tell how much I like a guy is how many games I watch. And a nose tackle, for me to watch 5 games on a nose tackle, I like you. Because usually I'm like, I'm good watching noses. So, yeah, Orange. And I know you were a little bit lower on him. The last guy I had was Lee Hunter, Texas Tech. At 49, I just squeezed him in, and you asked me on a different day and I'll either like him or dislike him. I really go back and forth. Did not test well, has some flash plays, but then has some very frustrating stretches where he's not doing anything. Always scary when a defensive tackle guy doesn't show up until the big games. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Like,
he's a weird player.
He's a weird player. Well, I was watching him, and I got to him late. And I'm looking at this like a week for the combine. I was like, is this like, am I going crazy? Is this not most like the least athletic player in the whole draft this year? Like, this guy can't move. And then he comes out, 21-inch vert. I'm like, okay, that tracks. And like because we talk about like how fast things happen in the NFL. Like that first step is for both sides.
Is everything
at so many positions. It's everything. It's everything. And this is like why I like watching like broadcasts sometimes, because you get like the sideline angle and it's tilted up so you can see like how much ground they are gaining relative to the line of scrimmage on every single play. Bro, this guy doesn't even get past the line of scrimmage, or even like he's like his second step is where he's making contact. Like to me that's almost auto DQ. Like you don't go anywhere. So now I'm like, you're going to be an NFL nose tackle that's relying 100% on upper body strength? Impossible. Like I just don't think it's viable. So yeah, I have him as like my last defensive tackle. I really don't even think he's draftable. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Well, his one of his biggest or closest physical comparisons is Jonathan Hankins. Hankins didn't test well. Hankins, I believe, was a 7th rounder. But how does Hankins play? Ass kicker. Right? Just absolute, everything. He's Godzilla out there. That's not how Lee Hunter plays. Lee Hunter plays finesse. He's trying to play quick and swipe guys by. Yeah.
And I thought that Hankins had some nice like lateral agility, even if it didn't test well. Like he moved like laterally well, and to me like that's why he was able to play for so long, because like it's not just standing up, because then you have a little versatility.
Testing actually tracks that
out too.
So you actually your eye test is correct. He had good shuttle times, so you kind of nailed that.
There you go. And then I'm looking at Lee Hunter. I look at Lee Hunter. I was like, dude, a scoop block and you're done for the day, man. Like I don't know what I can do with that. If we can just get to your hip, you're done.
It's like one of those on TV. I watched him, especially in the playoffs, and I'm like, okay, there's some flash plays. And then, and then when I finally watched him in December was the first time I really watched him. Was a lot of the big plays. He backdoors a lot. He goes behind the blocks. And again, that's scary to me if you're not a freak. Because that's just so hard to do. And again, going rogue or whatever, they might be lagging the nose and everything, but the production came on plays that I don't think how he has to play in the NFL. He has to play a different style in the NFL because he's not that overwhelming athlete. He has to be an ass kicker, and he doesn't want to be an ass kicker. He wants to win instantly, do some quickness, win real quick, but then he doesn't test like that. So I'm stuck on him. I kind of midpointed him at 49. I could have gone 20 lower or 20 or 10 higher. That was the last one down there.
I thought I kind of thought the backdoor stuff with him was just not quick enough to play it over the top, and you just kind of get stuck sometimes. But I mean, he had 10 TFLs. It's not. I would take him. I would take him sometime on day 3 if I'm like I need a body. Like, let's just find someone to plug there. But I just don't really expect all that much. It's tough to see for me, like in just in today's league with how athletic these offense, we've talked about the offensive line class and the requirements that you have to be a starting high level NFL off the tackle. He's so far away from being able to combat that athletically that to me he's just a depth piece.
How quick NFL centers are too, and you're not going to win that way. You think he's going to get his head across against Tyler Linderbaum? Linderbaum's going to make that's nothing to Linderbaum. Even if he gives up 20 pounds. He needs to lose weight. Does he need to get down to 300 and try to play that's what's scary. That's what's scary too. And again, we're getting into physical stuff, but it's the legs don't match the body, the weight. He's got kind of skinnier legs for how big he is, which shows to me it's bad weight. And again, I'm narrative scouting some stuff, but I'm going to do that at a position where guys can get heavy and out of shape. I'm going to look at that as one of the things I'm
got cornbread belly,
part of this. Yeah, he kind of does. He does. He enjoyed UCF a little bit too much, and then he got to Lubbock. Lubbock's got good barbecue, right? I don't know. I've actually never been to Lubbock.
They got to. What else is there? It's Lubbock. They got shit else.
They got it. Better have some Tex-Mex and some barbecue there. All right. Well, those are the guys in our top 50. A few more. There's some other guys. Daryl Jackson from Florida State, Zayden Durant, Penn State, Dante Corleone from Cincinnati, which is just unbelievable. His last name's Corleone. Rayshon Benny from Michigan. Caleb Proctor from Southeastern Louisiana. I actually kind of tested well, Shrine Bowl guy, kind of a long arm mauler. But these guys I look at as more maybe early day 3 guys. Or maybe late day 2 guys. But Chuck, this was awesome. Your name is Mr. Forverts, but man, we went over about 40 guys today. Thank you for joining me. That was a blast as always. We're closing it out today. I'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be back on Tuesday. I'm Nate Tice. You can find me at _Tice. That's Forverts. Charles McDonald. You can find him. I should just say you can find him at Forverts. I just call you Verts. You can find him at Forverts on Blue Sky. Mr. Charles. I know. I love it. Even when people ask me, they'll sound like a mailbag question. They're like, Mr. Tice and Mr. Verts. Which I just think I think that's great.
Never got close to play receiver in my whole life. I remember when my earliest football memory. Yeah, my earliest football memory was trying to play safety in Pee Wee, and they're like, "How about tight end?" And then, "How about line?" But really, I just needed a new name on Twitter, and I found it.
How many QBs do you see play defense, and what do they usually play if they play defense? Safety, maybe a corner. You'll get some linebackers like a Sam Darnold type. My defensive position, they're like, end. I didn't really like that in 8th grade, so I went straight quarterback after that.
That was funny. In high school, the first quarterback I played with in high school, he committed to University of Buffalo to play and was promptly switched to wide receiver. And then our second quarterback, who was in my class, he committed to an FCS school to play quarterback, and he played safety. So that's how it usually goes. Defensive end, that's a new one.
Yeah, and I was not as big as I am now. So it was this arm length, and we don't think you have quick enough feet to play anything else. Maybe not as good out in space. Let's just use those arms. But no, we're closing it out today. That was a ton of fun, Chuck. Make sure you subscribe to us here at Football 301. Follow us, rate us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, watch us on YouTube on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel, like some of you are right now. Make sure to like and subscribe that channel. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. See you guys next time. Have a great weekend.